It was a calm Friday afternoon in the small town of Brooksville. The sun was warm. School had just ended, and students filled the sidewalks, laughing and talking, heading home. Among them walked 17-year-old Aaliyah Thompson, a quiet, respectful girl who always kept to herself. She wore her school uniform, carried a worn-out backpack, and was texting her mom to say she'd be home soon. She had no idea that in just a few minutes, her life would be turned upside down. For no reason but the color of her skin. As Aaliyah crossed Main Street near the park, a police cruiser slowed down beside her. Two white officers stared at her for a moment. She noticed them, looked down, and kept walking. She hadn't done anything wrong, but in this town that didn't always matter. "Hey you, stop right there," one officer barked. Startled, Aaliyah turned. "Me?" she asked softly. "Yeah, you, hands where we can see them." People nearby stopped to watch. Aaliyah lifted her hands, confused and scared. "Is something wrong?" she asked. The officer stepped out of the car, eyes narrowed. "You fit the description of a suspect. Step over here." "I'm just coming from school," Aaliyah said, voice shaking. "I have my ID in my bag." But they didn't care. Without warning, one of the officers grabbed her arm, spinning her around. The other pulled at her backpack, digging through. It like she was hiding a weapon. Then, before she could react, they pulled at the waistband of her skirt. Aaliyah gasped. "Stop, what are you doing?" People nearby shouted. Phones came out, some recorded. Others yelled at the officers to stop. "What are you looking for?" someone cried. "She's a child." But the officers didn't stop until they saw something that made their faces freeze in horror. Inside Aaliyah's waistband was a security badge, a gold one, issued by the mayor's office. It had a name on it: Aaliyah Thompson, daughter of Mayor Denise Thompson. Suddenly, the officer who had grabbed her stepped back like he'd touched fire. The other went pale. Aaliyah stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. "I told you," she whispered. "I didn't do anything." People around them began shouting louder now. Some recognized her. Others kept filming. "She's the mayor's daughter," a woman yelled. "Y'all messed up." The officers tried to speak, but the damage was done. And within minutes, the news had reached City Hall. Back at the mayor's office, Denise Thompson, Brooksville's first black female mayor, was finishing a meeting when her assistant burst. "Mayor, it's Aaliyah. The police just assaulted her. It's all over social media." "What?" Denise shot up. "What do you mean assaulted?" Her assistant showed her a video. In seconds, Mayor Thompson's hands began to shake. Her eyes filled with tears, then fire. She didn't say another word. She grabbed her coat and stormed out. By the time she arrived at the police station, Aaliyah was sitting alone in a cold interview room. No lawyer, no apology, just silence. The mayor walked straight past the front desk. "Where's my daughter?" she demanded. The officers tried to stop her. "I said, where is she?" The chief came running. "Madam Mayor, please calm down." "Calm down? Your officers pulled up my daughter's skirt in the street? You think I'm going to calm down?" Aaliyah was brought out a few minutes later, shaken but safe. When she saw her mother, she broke down. Mayor Thompson held her close. Then she turned to the officers and said, "You assaulted my child like she was nothing. You didn't even ask her name. You humiliated her in public. Now I want every camera in this town rolling, because your careers are over." What happened next shook the town of Brooksville to its core. Within hours, the story made national headlines. Police assault mayor's daughter, mistake her for criminal. The mayor called a press conference, standing beside Aaliyah. Her voice didn't shake, her eyes didn't blink. "My daughter was treated like a threat for walking home from school. If this could happen to the mayor's child, imagine what happens to those without power." The officers involved were suspended, then fired. But the mayor didn't stop there. She pushed for new laws, demanded better training, and fought for accountability. And Aaliyah, she became a voice for other young black girls across the country. The ones who had been stopped, searched, and silenced. The ones who never got justice, until now. Meanwhile, in a different part of town, a pregnant white woman struggled to stand on a crowded bus. Her back ached, Her hands trembled. No one offered her a seat, except for one teen boy, black, quiet, and kind. He stood up without a word. "Thank you," she said softly, sitting down. "You have no idea how much that means." He smiled shyly and went back to scrolling on his phone. A few minutes later, just before she got off, she leaned over and slipped a folded note into his hand. "Open it later," she whispered. When he did, his eyes widened. Inside was a check and a note that said, "You reminded me of my son. He died saving a stranger. You gave up your seat for someone who needed it. Let me give something back to you. Go chase your dream." He never forgot that moment, and neither did the world.